Get me stuff in my face. Thank you, Patrick.
Zeigler, student at COC.
I believe my last name is a very common Jewish name, but there's no knowledge of it in the immediate generations that were Jewish.
I'm 53, born in January 54. Married for 17 years. I have a 16 and 12-year-old daughter. 16-year-old is named Ariel, and the 12-year-old is Marina. I was an international flight attendant for 20 years.
Well, you know, I remember when I first started being on sets for doing background work, and I'd see the DPs, I'd see DPs doing this stuff. I thought, oh, come on, you know. But now I totally understand why they do this, because you got to look at the frame.
Art is a creative, thoughtful presentation of a thought, and where the intention is to communicate a thought, a feeling, and there's an awful lot of media to accomplish that. I think it's a very helpful thing for people. It provides a form of structure that helps grease the machinery of culture, as long as the religion doesn't become too combative or antagonistic to the culture as a whole. I think it's one of its primary functions is to hold people to a higher set of moral accountability and community accountability than we're otherwise predisposed to. And I think that's a good thing too.
I agree with you, because in the spirit of what you mean, but I would be specific. I would say that the inherent emotional needs that we all have, I believe we all have the same inherent emotional needs. How they manifest themselves can be worlds apart. So I'm of the definite opinion that very few males reach any sense of maturity until they're in their late 20s, early 30s. I think women, probably, late teens, early 20s, they start to get their head screwed on pretty good. And I think the reason this is more delayed in our society than it used to be is we're so much more complex. The technology alone takes years to master. Just, you know, basic computer literacy. It's more complex. We have less time to focus on who we are, and we're so busy learning all these skills that it's more difficult. My advice is to not worry so much about figuring out who you are, because that can become too introspective, sort of like the parody of a Buddhist staring at his navel. It quickly reaches diminishing to no returns. And I know Christianity suggests that one way to work these things out is to help others who have greater needs than yourself. There's merit in that, but that again keeps you distracted from the issue at hand. I mean, if that's something that really moves you, then certainly do it. But I think it's more a matter of just interact with life. You know, take your classes, invest yourself in those classes, even if you don't, find a reason about those classes that you're excited about, so that you can really, actually, truly be invested in learning what's there. I found that if you don't pursue a grade, but instead you really pursue the information, you pursue the knowledge, that a grade will come in due course. That if you're really trying to learn the stuff, you'll end up with an A-, B+ at worst. Because if you have difficulties, then you get to the teachers and you learn these things, you compensate. And I think that I find that as you're learning these various things, if you will have moments where you stand back and reflect on how you feel about what it is that you're learning and why you feel that way, that's how you'll find out who you are. That's where you'll find out where your values are and what your priorities are. And then you can make conscious choices to change and evolve them if you're not happy with where they are. I think another bottom line rule that seems to be difficult for younger people to learn, I certainly had a hard time with it, is that life is all about choices and the consequences that come out of those choices. The choices that you make at any given point either leave more opportunities open in the future or they close those opportunities. And there's not a lot of do-overs in life. And doors get closed, they're frequently closed permanently. But if in the course of your interacting with things on a really invested, in other words, rather than having a cynical attitude, which is the result of injured faith, if you truly try to do whatever it is you're doing to the best of your ability and watch how you feel about those things that you're learning and that you're doing, you'll become aware of who you are and what's important to you. And then you can make more deliberate decisions. I found if you go through life half-ass, it tends to treat you half-ass. If you don't invest, people won't invest in you. One other thing that's really important is to be able to laugh at yourself, to see the humor and the irony in your own personality, in your own choices. I find those that take themselves too seriously have a much tougher time of it, and I've certainly had periods where I have. But to see the humor in the human condition, to see the humor and the irony in your own choices and the choices of your good friends, not in a mocking sense, but in a sense of the commonality of what's silly and funny about humanity, because we really can be a very silly lot, and we can take ourselves oh so seriously on things that are so unimportant, and that's an important tool, an important strength, is to laugh at yourself.